Can everybody see the picture?
Yes.
Ross, excellent. Well, that's where you
Got it.
That's where you guys, not where you had finished the first story or arc or level. This is where you are arriving. And the way that the weird dimensional astral-esque currents go, there's no feasible way to just fly up and land on it. It's not like this is all just homogeneous space that you can just steer and like go land somewhere. No, you actually have to go where that little port is sticking out in the front.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the only way you can. It's think of it more like a river in 3 dimensions. There's only one place you can dock, and so that is your situation. And I am perfectly okay with an attempt to go somewhere else, except that it will shatter your boat and yourselves into a million little pieces. So.
We have lived a good life, my friends, and I am tired of pushing this oar. So
Hang on, we don't get to be like you in your synthesizer game the other night.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, he gave us some choices. I'm not going to bother. The choices all start after you dock. So we're going to call this hard scene framing. You're docking. So,
Okay.
Good.
But that's what you saw on the way there. And for those of you who would like to use any relevant ways of perceiving stuff about this thing, either as you approach or upon arrival, please let me know.
Well, it has a little bit of a look of a potential monastery to it.
Yes, it does.
So I could easily see using my religion skill to see if I can figure out anything about the character of the religion sponsoring this element, or get some details about that based on religious implications.
That is true. And how about you, other 2 characters? What skills seem like they may be relevant in looking at this location?
We had such a good experience last time we ran into some monks. I don't trust these people at all already. So on the lookout and generally just scoping out for dangers and threats. And I think that might be a perception roll.
Runt is too surprised that Iniku has skills other than Arcana.
That's right.
But he will make a nature roll to figure out what kinds of things would be wafted on the currents to come here. In other words, what the local economy would look like.
You can have a look at you can see the ecology. You can't.
Okay.
You got it. You're getting a pretty good look at the picture already.
Okay.
So you can kind of look at that picture and say that's what my character sees as we approach.
Yeah.
So nature is a perfectly reasonable thing. Okay, go right ahead and with all 3 rolls and tell me how you do.
13 on nature.
Wow, I am also 13 on religion.
And 17 on perception.
Okay, well, the 2 of you who got below 15, I can tell you this. You're right, it is a monastery. What you don't see, and you're not sure if this is just because you don't get it, is any kind of denotation of like sect. Is it an iron soul place? Is it a centered breath place? Is it, did the way of the basilisk, have a standard flying or something like that? All those kinds of heraldic aspects of the monasteries is absent. Without hitting a 15 or higher, I'm not going to say anything else along those lines.
That makes sense to me.
Regarding the nature roll at the same level of competence, what you can see is that there are some active looking farms, particularly in that back corner in the more permanently attached looking place. You can also tell that the thing that's attached on the right, which looks more, basically like it's just tethered, is recent. It has just attached, but that the ecology of the two is the same.
Okay.
And that's as far as you're going to get with that level of success. What you can see, Ross, is that there is a flurry of activity going on as you guys get closer. I'm figuring perception is basically kind of getting a default look at motion and activity, and then seeing if anything, acts funny, right?
Yeah.
Seeing if,
Okay.
and the answer is yes. You beat a 15, so I can tell you that from two different locations, there are rushing toward that citadel in the middle, the little one that's near the dock. That little kind of castle looking place right there, kind of small.
Mm-hmm.
That there is rushing there two riders. They are riding on mounts. It's too small for you to see who, but basically it's almost like there's a race for that particular place.
Okay.
And when you guys, park your gondola, and it looks as though there are places for this. Your little ship is way smaller than what this particular dock can handle. Bigger things would have to get tethered there and just float along with it. Yours can actually settle in and get, set down. But even for that mode, it could easily handle up to 10 of boats like yours. So it's, but it shows no sign of such traffic. There's probably like an overturned gondola of the size of yours, like sitting on sawhorses, and it's been there for a long time. The area looks, for lack of a better word, not subject to daily use. It's not like, the dungeons that have like, decaying straw and rats and the nibbled bones of an adventurer and nobody ever comes here, anything like that. It doesn't have that look. But that there's nobody there. There's no, there's none of the equipment that sort of you would think would be there, except for stuff that's like thrown under tarps. It's not looking much. And nobody's there when you get there. Nobody's there, and and so you're kind of like looking back and forth.
Not much of a welcome, is it, guys?
They have no doubt heard of our fearsome reputation and are cowering in their hovels. It is understandable, but we shall explain to them that we are of goodwill so long as they provide us with suitable fare and, I don't want to say tribute, but no other word comes to mind.
Oh, jeez.
One can hope that we can be worthy of such gifts from them.
I'm a minotaur, so...
Well, what we
As
have
I understand,
is
you have an expectation of worthiness. Understood.
Fantastic prejudices. What we have is is a bit of a dilemma. You can, without need for much of a perception roll, hear that there is some activity going on in the floors and doors nearby. Footsteps. Somebody like jiggles a door handle and then it stops. And so there seems to be some activity.
Is there like an obvious main door?
Yep.
Oh, head up towards it.
Sure. Now this is a little bit of these, the faux medieval look. There are flagstones and big humongous blocks that this place is built of. And then there are wooden fixtures set into them. So like there's wooden door frames and wooden doors and stuff like that. And so you can open a door, you can head up some stairs, and then you're into a series of branching corridors. It's really not a very big place. And from the, now that you've gotten a look, you realize that you're actually going to come up into the bottom of that little citadel. And when you get there, you will be met. Now, here, let me take a look at my little map, by the way, just which I want to do. There, because there's a map I get to look at and you don't.
Yeah, that's always been the way of it. It's not fair.
Always the way. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a little bit, it's a little elaborate. You actually have to go back, you walk pretty far back in a corridor. And then there's a bit of a complication. You guys are I don't really want to bore you with all the doors and stuff. It's just a little bit complicated. So you're confronted with a number of doors and a number of passages. You're underneath that citadel somewhere, but you're not sure just how to get up. It's not intuitive. Unless somebody wants to make a dungeoneering check and figure out like where they are exactly, you're going to have a little trouble.
The thing I'd be interested in making a dungeoneering check on is, is there a reason behind why it's a little complicated and there's all these doors? I mean, are there like storage chambers? Is this like a defensive bulwark? What is the context for them to have built it this way?
Make a roll.
I roll. And my result is, for dungeoneering, 16.
Not bad. Yes, you have just moved into an area which is designed to choke point intruders. And the way that the doors are set up, defenders can encircle intruders without them being able to stop them. So, and even now, let's try that perception roll again. I assume Azalea is kind of doing that periodically. So, Ross, give me another perception roll.
23.
Okay, so fantastic. Yes, there are little feet, little noises of people in this. You're going down a corridor, and it's going to turn to the left, and then there's different doors. And what you can hear is that there are individuals massing behind those doors.
As my minor action, I'm going to put my hand confidently on the haft of my great axe.
Excellent. Right. So you guys going to you want to get in any kind of formation? Is anybody going to tell anybody this, by the way? I assume you're sharing. You're all sharing the results.
Yeah.
Of the roll, right?
Anako will definitely be saying this seems to be designed to be a defensive bulwark, but there are no defenders that I can tell. And then Azalea say, "Oh, I think there are."
Yeah.
In front was the tribute you had in mind a bit of sparring practice, because it doesn't seem like we're terribly welcome here.
Allow me. I shall inform them of the heroes among them. And they will no doubt feel ashamed and come out to greet us with open arms. So I'm going to make a diplomacy check on my standard action, if that's allowed.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to play it relatively straight and just basically say, look, we're travelers. We've come from Monastery X, wherever it is that Kazek was at. We have been involved in a soul quest that is just completed. We mean no harm to anyone here. And please come forward and parley, for we are weary and under-provisioned.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead.
And I get an 11 on my diplomacy check. So
it's not so bad. It beats a 10, which means you actually just don't, basically flat out fail. You just wouldn't impress anybody trying to resist. But even as you are just finishing speaking, and even as your own words ring a little pathetic in your ears, you don't really think you lived up to the status of your ancestors with that one. regardless, striding down that hallway as the door is flung open way down that hallway that turned off to the right, and a woman's voice can be heard, and she is loudly greeting you, and she's striding toward you, and she's putting on like like a garment, with a kind of decorations on it. Now, when I say a woman, I'm going to share another picture with you guys, which is this.
I know what they look like, Ron. It's fine.
Hmm. Well, I always wonder.
I appreciate that that's part of the Dungeons and Dragons heritage as well, but
Sigh.
Okay, now there's a reason why I'm sharing this picture with you guys, which is not a woman. But if you look at that central guy,
no, it is not.
right, if you look at that central guy, think of a female version of him, and that's
Okay.
who you're looking at.
All right.
And the beings that she's like gesturing to follow her are all about the same look, except far, far more spindly and short.
Okay.
So that's who we're. So and then and she shouts again, and the doors around you all suddenly fly open, and the same kind of individuals step out. They seem to be kind of like maybe surreptitiously putting away weapons, and looking very very meek.
Okay. Quick setting question. Do we know what these things are? Are they gift types
They're
or
not.
something else?
I think probably the best way to look at this is kind of a heavy metal thing. So
Okay.
when you run across like people,
Mhm.
there'll be all
Gotcha.
sorts of weird things of one
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
or
yeah.
another.
Okay.
So yeah, basically we should assume that running into weird people, we're not like, absolutely shocked that we found something that
Another
talks. That's not a
race. You're right. Yeah, that's not really
that's not a gith. That's not a gith, a shard mind, or a
right.
minotaur. That's not shocking to us.
Exactly.
Okay.
So she will greet you. She says, "Welcome, welcome to our land. This is the land, our land, and we are happy to have you." And she gestures like in a kind of flailing motion. You get the idea that she's sort of at a loss for words, and she gestures in a flailing motion at all the other littler individuals, and they all kind of scurry around and start doing things like, holding your stuff for you, and you know, that kind of thing. And she says, "Come up from these empty halls. Come up from this abandoned area that has seen so little use. Come on up to our land and let us greet you properly."
Hospitality is the sign of the most noble spirits. I congratulate you for your greatness of heart.
No, she says, "Why? And I thank you too for recognizing greatness when you see it. I am Uri, and that's URRI."
I am doing a perception check or a bluff check or whatever is appropriate to figure out if she is bullshitting us.
That's a bluff check, I think.
Okay.
Oh, no,
I'm
sorry,
not very good at
insight.
this.
My mistake. Insight.
Okay, good. And I'm within presumably five of our beautiful squares of measurement of
Absolutely.
Ejalia. Right?
Exactly. Okay. So you are going to get your.
Oh
plus.
man!
Oh no!
I get a 9. Even modified.
She is the most wonderful person. How could you possibly have been?
Man.
How could you possibly have been luckier than to land with someone who recognizes you for the great minotaur that you are?
I tell you,
talk
it's a
yourself
pity.
Right into that. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, yeah. It's a pity that that she doesn't have horns and isn't a cow, but nobody's perfect. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
So
there's so yes, you guys are making. She's talking. She's listening to your stories of the the tribe, and the conversations have sprung up. So if you accompany her, you will head upwards, and you will find that the little citadel is in better shape. Somebody's been taking care of that. It's not really a place to live. It's very definitely a place to deploy from. Very definitely a place to fight from. But there seems to be no signs of any such thing. You see no weapons. You see no signs of, fighting people staying there. It's, somebody's set out. That the Littler people are now bustling about, and there's a long table, and they're in a hall, and they're setting out. I'm thinking of that. Okay, you see the circular part, right? And you see the above
Yeah.
ground long part. Well,
Yeah.
you're above
Uh-huh.
ground now, and in that long part, there's an area that looks as though it's where like fighting people would be stationed. It looks like kind of a battle stations area. No, they're setting up a long table. They're laying a cloth on the long table. They're almost like doing a hup 2 3 4, running in with benches and sprinkling a bunch of like fruits and stuff on the table, and all but like all but like patting your butts to have you sit down.
It's fine. It's fine. Nothing will hurt you.
Right. And so and Iru, let's see, Uri is busy, extolling, the virtues of our land, and certainly feel free to have some. So, um, so that's what she's talking about. She's not really saying too much of substance at this time. Before my next move, what will any of you attempt to do, if anything?
I think Azalea is going to try and raise the issue of religion and the. Do they have a tradition here, or something we may have heard of? Teachings have they had? Perhaps even Kazek's been here. Perhaps maybe she could talk about visitors. And
Good plan. Go ahead and make the religion roll as your
idea.
as your
Religion
hero.
and that's only a 9 because my religion is unfortunately being a failed monk.
She is. It's right. She is. She doesn't really catch on to what you're asking about, and assures you that they like monks very much.
Good to know.
That's as far as they get. As far as any information is concerned, you come up complete zilch. And at that moment, the big double doors at the end of that long hall area are flung open, and a person who does look exactly like the fellow in the center of that picture comes barreling in. And he, flings open the door and shouts, "Welcome to our lands. I am Uri." Wait, she's Uri, sorry. "Welcome to our land. Welcome. I am Iru. IRRU. You guys got to catch me on this, and I'll do the same."
Okay.
And
Okay.
so, and barrels in and talks over Uri instantly, and basically starts saying over all the stuff she was saying in slightly different language, and all about how you're welcome here and how great it is to have you, and where did you come from, and he starts ordering around all of the minions, just the same, and criticizing them too.
How
You
do
may
the
pat
minions
the other
take
side.
this? How do the minions take this?
They scurry and obey.
So they appear to be very used to this.
Yeah, in a kind of a never meeting your eyes way. And and also, let's see. I'm not sure there's anything else to tell you about that right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good
so
enough.
they are but that's your situation, and Iru is totally taking over the conversation and totally being overwhelming.
What is Uri's response to this?
Uri's response is to, take it for a little bit and then basically do the same thing right back. And before you guys really have a chance to have a real conversation, they've gone nose to nose. And something about, you just got back here. How do you think it is running this place all by myself? And as opposed to, just because you've been here all this time doesn't mean you run the joint without me, blah, blah, blah. What are the visitors going to think of us? Look at you. Give me that. And he tries to take the robe thing that she put on. Say, give me that. I'm supposed to wear that. You guys are being completely ignored.
Okay.
Perhaps.
That's how Runton likes it at this point, and he proceeds to chow down, sort of batting an ear and irritation at these people arguing in the background.
Okay.
As players, my character is too dumb to make the obvious deduction here about that piece of recently attached land, but presumably others have figured that out.
Okay, so if you guys aren't going to, I'm perfectly capable of going into sort of cut mode and like having a little while for you guys to settle in and stay or anything like that, or however it is you want to handle the situation. If it's in the moment, let me know.
Yeah, initially Ineku is going to let them try and sort it out. I mean, if we finish, Ineku will grab a grape here and there. Not that he really needs to eat this stuff. But if it actually gets to the end of our refreshments and they're still arguing, he might look at Azalea and Runt and say, maybe we should excuse ourselves from their presence.
And instantly both of them will turn to you and say, sort of in counterpoint, without really interrupting, but still talking at the same time. Oh no, that's fine. Thank you. We hope you like it. That's great. Won't you come and visit? Won't you come and see this? Won't you come and see the domicile? You'll have to stay with us. And and then both of you they look at you expectantly.
Yes, I think we would like accommodations for at least the night.
What glorious hosts we have!
And she and with looking a very sharp and pointy look at Uri instantly comes and says over to you and says, "And you shall be shown what our land has to offer, and will basically almost literally escort you outside."
Runt is going to declare a minor quest to befriend Uri.
Good idea. What roll shall you make to open this?
I guess I'm going to begin with an insight roll to try and figure out what her relationship to Iru is. They bicker like two Minotaur spouses.
Right.
But I have learned that this is not always the way of love among other races. So I get a adjusted roll. Well, I get a 20 and possibly a 22, depending on how close I am to Azalea.
You're close enough to Azalea. 22 is a monster roll in this case. They're siblings.
Okay.
And in fact, I used the same picture for both, just asking you to adjust for a reason. They really are that alike. And they also with a roll like that with insight, yes. Uri is very much appropriating you. And
that's cool.
And similarly, the perhaps mistaken impression you had of, at least appreciation for your masculinity is actually sincere on her part.
Okay.
So there's that. So yes, she's ushering you out. She's not that interested in uh, either Eniku or Azalea. Um, and in the meantime, um, Iru is, expands his arms, the sort of, glares after her just for a second, and then opens his arms expansively and says, "And please join us." And says, "In fact, there are some things that I'm sure that you can help and talk to me about," and is looking at Eneku, and and gives you kind of a quizzical "and your name is" kind of look.
Yes. Oh, yes, you were not here when we declared ourselves. I am an Aku, and gesture over to Azalea. Let her identify herself.
Azalea, we are traveling monks, really.
Oh, well.
Hoping to learn about the wonders of the cosmos.
Well, you have arrived then, because we are wondrous here. Here I shall show you. And so, as you are ushered out in a sort of a wave of minions at first, and then he will, hop up astride a sort of spindly-legged, not all that impressive-looking horse, and will a horse perhaps like thing. I'm not going to be too precise, and and sort of looks around for like how you're going to come along, and quite quickly, some of the smaller beings will scurry up, and with a bit of effort will manage to rustle up some kind of rolling platform that you guys can sit on. And it's kind of ridiculous because you could easily have walked with all the effort that they're expending to wheel you along, you know? So that's underway unless you want to stop it.
If it makes them happy, I think we can.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think Eneku and Azalea kind of look at each other. Should we? Okay, we'll play along.
Right. And so do you see that if you go off toward the tethered section, that you're going to pass a place where clearly something very nasty hit this joint and made a big crater?
I saw that in the picture.
And do you see that over to the right of it, there is some sort of crystalline structure?
I do.
Well, he says, "Be careful now, don't get too close." He says, "That is my problem right now. That is what I am trying to work with, and that is what I think you will be most instrumental in resolving for me." Says,
Can we pause for
a little bit. Don't go too close. He coughs a little bit. There have been some problems. I have been away for a long time. Part of our land was separated from the other part, and I was on it. And only with great adventures and with incredible insights have I managed to reunite our land and be reunited, of course, with my sister.
Most impressive.
Well, it is not easy to cause the islands in the sea to come back together again. You'll have to tell me how you manage that. Such a large chunk of land is not usually navigated without great difficulty.
He will tell you. You make an insight roll.
Okay. I think that's a 9.
Why? He knew exactly what he was doing. He was very good at it, evidently. Either that or you're not sure you really understood.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually a 10. I have 7 in insight, but
yeah, well, 10.
Not a big difference.
He gives a
not a big
fairly.
difference.
You can tell that he's not fibbing. he did actually pilot this thing back. You get no insight whatsoever into his degree of competence in doing so.
Or mechanism of doing so.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
But you do know that he's not, you do realize that no, he's not fibbing. He did actually just reunite our land. And you can see it by now. You can see the tower from where you are. This place isn't that big. I mean, you can't, it's taking you a while to get there. It's not like you can just trot over, but it is, so you're going to have to take a while to get there, but you can see the tower from where you are. And go ahead.
Okay.
I was gonna say, well, good enough. Although I guess the main thing I'm looking at are these crystals over here.
Ross, what about you?
I was going to say, while he's giving his interesting explanation to Aniku, Azalea was going to jump down off the platform and go and get a closer look anyway.
Ah, okay. Okay. So,
well, he's paying enough attention.
Well, what you see are what appear to be shards, as in shard mind. And they appear to be growing in a manner not unlike those little sets that you buy as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
They appear to have sprouted and proliferated. And they're really new looking. I mean, really shiny and, you know, sharp edged, and you know, they have a structure that I can only describe as budding.
Fascinating.
Right. They aren't actually like doing it as you watch, but the structure is such that it looks as though that's what's going on. There are periodically, or perhaps not periodically, just intermittently, flashes of light and energy glancing or emanating off of them. And with a nod toward the original Star Trek, different sectors or sections will have colors, you know, different colors. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I don't get too close, I don't think.
Yeah, that's you kind of get the idea that maybe he wasn't, you know, he wasn't BSing you about getting too close.
Yeah.
But if do you have Arcana or any other relevant skill that might work here?
I don't have very much Arcana, but I could try and roll something for it.
Sure.
And get a 10.
Ooh. Well, yes, the 10 is enough to tell you that thing is giving off funky energy, and you just might not want to go up there and get psychically lobotomized.
Hmm.
Not that that's exactly what would happen, but it could, given a 10.
If only we had that crystal back at Kazek's house.
That's right. Zap.
Solve a lot of problems.
And what about and Gordon? So you're looking at it too, right? You said.
Yeah. So I did, you know, a little bit of distraction with talking to him about bringing the land in, and then start heading over and realize that Azalea is maybe getting a little closer than she should over there. Right. Let me take a closer look myself.
Well, you've got like a plus 9, correct?
Plus 11 on my Arcana.
So given that's going to give you a base 10, you know, every time.
Yeah.
So so therefore you quickly pick up anything that she realized with her arduous roll you get automatically, and so if you want to learn more, then you will make a roll.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, he's both extremely interested and a little wary. I need to find something that'll actually roll flat. Maybe over here. All right. All right. Well, that gets me to a 20.
Right. Well, a 20 is very clear in this case. First of all, please mark down that you got a 20. You know, just make a little tally. Make a box, in fact, Gordon. Like draw a box and like put a tally mark in there. So I'd like you guys to each.
So that was a total of 20, not a deep die roll of 20.
I understand that. And so yes, for a total of 20, a result of 20, please make a tally.
Exactly 20 or 20 or higher?
No, 20 or higher. And so yours has to do with the minor quest that you mentioned in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And yours, Gordon, is coming up on something kind of similar.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Iru actually
there's the
is
potential
standing,
of that
right.
happening. Yeah.
Iru, who was on the horse that I mentioned, right? As you
Mhm.
come over and kind of gesture Azalea back a little bit, he's swung down and is standing on the ground now, and he speaks like from just past your shoulder, which is sort of a little bit of a body language violation sort of thing. And he says to you somewhat conspiratorially, well, first of all, let me give you the 20, what the 20 gets you.
Yeah.
What the 20 gets you is that, yes, the seeds of the crystals struck here like a meteor and have effectively sprouted. What is tricky is that they may produce a shard mind. They may produce a more explosive, mutated, or dysfunctional version of a shard mind, which is basically driven by its energies without much in the way of cognition. Um, or it could basically undergo a meltdown if badly treated, which would have disastrous consequences for our land as a whole. So you're effectively looking at a psychic reactor slash birthing chamber.
And so he's telling me this,
No,
or this is what
no,
I figure out with the
this is
20.
what your 20 bought you.
Yeah, yeah. So this is you have living crystal growing in your land. That can be dangerous.
Well, he says, yes, and the conspiratory thing that he will say is, and my sister's part of that problem. I don't like to speak against her, you understand. But the way to solving this, well, I think she has a piece of it.
That that could be. You understand that it is not alive and thinking in any true sense now, but it still can be disturbed and upset. It's possible that that if a piece of it is missing, that could upset it.
He says,
Assuming that makes sense.
well, yes, so I need to get that piece back. And with your help, perhaps we can unlock its powers and, well, its powers, you know.
I would agree that the first step should be to prevent the risk of it deteriorating. And, well, I don't want to say explode. That's not quite exactly what happens, but it would be bad for people in the area if it were to decompose quickly.
Ross, do you have anything you want Azalea to do or say?
Yes, I think she's going to put out her hand to sort of show Iru that we're clearly on the same side and we need to sort this out.
Right.
And
okay.
We're listening to him. We can see he's got the best of this community's interests at heart. This is perhaps not sincere.
Yes, exactly. That would be a diplomacy roll.
You want diplomacy rather than bluff?
I
don't mind which one. But just...
Ooh, bluff actually might. It seems like you that's right. It's so hard for me to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Bluff would be a 16.
16. Okay. You make your point quite successfully. There's no failure in there, and so he nods and says, "Wonderful, wonderful. I can count on both of you then." By the way, are you guys willing to declare this as a minor quest?
Yes, I think so. Although Aneku's version of it probably has more to do with, settling this living crystal down than specifically helping Iru.
Got it. Okay. I got it. And the bluff leads me to think that you're thinking along the same lines of let's not all blow up here is kind of our first priority, and you and all sorts of powers you may be imagining is definitely backburnered. Thank you. So, yes, I got you. So there you have this. That's the site you've seen on the way to the tethered place, and as you can see, it's kind of an interesting, and spectacular sight to get over to that other side where he has his tower, where he's been living all this time, and he's visibly, as soon as he gets over there, he's visibly calmer, visibly less boisterous, visibly less. You realize that he was really stressed when he was over there. Now he's like, okay. None of the little minions go with him. A bunch, and in fact, he shoos them off. But more of them come out of his tower, and he says, you, and you, and they joyfully run to the other side like lightning, and
Okay.
scamper off as quickly as they can.
Back to the mainland.
Right. Onto it and running off on it. And he says to you, I need to keep a support staff here for myself, but they've been long separated from their ways. So I'm sending them off in shifts.
How long did it take you to get your chunk of land hooked back up here?
Eons, he said. Ages. Cosmic cycles.
Did I misunderstand earlier? Did you not say that your land was separated because of the collision with?
Oh, no, it was not.
Okay. Okay.
Or
That's a
was it?
separate event. That's a separate event.
He actually looks a little puzzled and says, that's a good question. I hadn't really thought about that. Maybe. There's a curious vagueness to this that you have just encountered. I am not simply dithering.
Gotcha. Because that does not appear to be super old. That crystal, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that crystal growth is fairly recent.
It may be for your arrival here, yet I have been gone, I can tell you, in eons, believe me. The ways of time are not precise,
I have heard it said by the wise, but I have not met anyone who has been around for eons before.
Well, I shall tell you of my adventures, and proceeds to tell you of an adventure which is actually a little bit trippy in terms of time and everything. And so, yes, he even has. It does look as quite a bit of time has gone by. There's that area that looks kind of burnt out and ruined there, and those are old. There's been time for people to decorate and carve on the tower. He said, yes, my little helpers did that while we were gone, and it looks as though they were at it for some time. So yes, even though the impact is relatively recent, he did sail off into time vortices, which meant he was gone a very long time as far as he's concerned.
You traveled not just through space, but through time. That's rather exciting.
So, how about you, James? You're being taken off to that farm and passing the forest.
Yeah. Runt is not doing anything other than making small talk. He's not trying to do a whole lot else. He's basically sort of inquiring about what they're growing here. I get the impression that agriculture is not especially common among the barbarian tribes, so he's a little uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, but curious about what it is that they're doing, and so on and so forth. But he's not he's only sort of casually interested in the answer. And then what he's going to do is he's going to try to seem like a pretty cool guy by making a streetwise check of at one point when there's an opportunity of reciting some sort of ballad from a traveling gleeman that would have gone from community to community, and trying to seem like he's pretty hip and suave and with it. I am terrible at streetwise, so I'm doing this purely for role-playing reasons.
Natural 20.
An 18,
18?
which isn't bad. Yeah.
Which pops you, do you have like a +2 or something, or anything?
It's a roll of 16 plus 2, so it's a total of 18.
Yeah, 18 isn't that bad, actually. You do produce it, and she listens and is duly impressed.
So a minotaur, a Githzerai, and a shard mind
that's right.
go into a dead monk's brain.
That's right.
And then so he's making a few jokes and trying to lighten the mood, the way that one might among minotaurs, and then explains that among his culture, there is sibling rivalry is not a metaphor. It is a really serious issue among the ruling clans over who will be allowed to survive in order to rule over the community. And Runt leaves it implied that perhaps the youngest or the smallest member of a sibling group might have to run for his fucking life at times in order to make it.
Right.
He doesn't really say that explicitly because it's not super complimentary, but it's not completely lost. And essentially, he's working his way around to asking if it's that way among Uri's people, and if so, what does she have in mind in terms of assassinating her brother?
Right. She is. This
and
is
I apologize if I've misunderstood your local customs. I simply apply things through my own lens.
Well, she's she blinks a little bit and says, "Why, I had not considered anything so permanent. It seems perhaps badly advised. We are not the same as you, and this is a sensitive topic. But you are absolutely right that I have concerns that are better discussed outside of his sphere of perception. And
I see.
That is why we need to get this forest between us, for his ways are mysterious, especially after his long travels. I'm not sure what his capabilities are. Now, this forest is kind of interesting because the little minions are trying to leave and go into it, and she snaps at them, and they kind of go back into formation with you guys and keep walking with you. And so they definitely each give kind of one glance over their shoulders at the forest as you guys pass it. What would you, okay, so let's see. Good enough. Can I take you off to the farm?
Of course.
Okay. Well, you can arrive there, and you will find.
Actually, you know what, Ron?
Yes.
Ron, I'm sorry. The one thing that I will try to do is I will try to make a perception roll about what's going on in the forest that these guys are into.
Nature.
Nature roll. I'm not trying to interfere in any way. I just want to figure out what the deal is.
I was wondering if you wanted to do anything along those lines. So.
I get a 13.
13 is not a 9.
Okay.
What
it is not.
You can tell by the looking at the forest is that it is inhabited by beings roughly the same size as the ones with you, although you, with only a 13, don't get a better look. In other words, they're looking over their shoulders, and what they're looking at is looking back at them.
Gotcha. Okay. Farm it is.
Okay. Let's see. So you are brought there, and as you can see, it's a nice little homey kind of domicile. There are little crops being tended, and there are funky animals being kept. The little little minion critter people are who have not spoken yet, and you're starting to get the distinct realization that some or maybe all of them are watching you all the time.
That's fair. The other thing that I want to do is looking at that picture. There's a bridge of some kind that connects the
Yes.
main chunk to the
That's
thing.
what you're on right now.
Right. As a warrior / barbarian / engine of destruction, I am curious about what it would take to demolish this bridge, and whether or not that would cause this
Right.
other chunk of rock to drift off.
First of all, yes, it would, unless the local currents kept it, in the same
Gotcha.
trajectory.
Gotcha.
But it would take quite a lot. It is built of exactly the same stuff as that citadel that you came in on, and is really embedded. It would not be impossible, but it's not like finding the keystone and prying it out.
Yeah.
Would be,
and it's not like hacking it apart with an axe,
exactly.
or setting it on fire.
You would
or something
definitely
like that.
have to have like a team of engineers applying themselves to that as a problem. Not that it couldn't be done, but it would be work.
Okay. Runt asks how the new piece of land, or the other littler piece of land, was attached to this one. Who arranged that?
Well, it's the other way
Not
around.
not the farm. Not the farm.
Right,
the
correct.
other. Yeah.
Yeah. She says it's the other way around. It was broken off when we were struck by a projectile or an extraterrestrial body. That that a piece was shattered off and has only recently been united. It is a matter of some concern. Iru has unrealistic notions of his role here, and there is a danger. The energies that were released by the impact can threaten us. He has the answer to this, but he's keeping it secret from me.
To what end?
I can't say. I just know that I need to command that whatever it is from him before anything really too terrible happens. She says, it's been a problem. I've been working on it. And looks at you and says, I might use some help.
It looks like Iru is someone who might be persuaded by force majeure. And I'm making I don't know if you can make an intimidate check to show off rather than scare somebody. I don't know exactly how that works in D&D in this edition, but basically just trying to flex and look tough and
well, I
that
can
kind of
tell
thing.
you that what effect that will have on her is definitely not accounted for in the skill set of Dungeons and Dragons 4E.
All right.
And should we care
I'll have to take it as a feat at the next
that's right.
next even level.
We'll have to do a custom feat.
Right.
Or look, I've noticed that they're actually quite careful in some of their phrasings, so that you can actually put an adult spin onto a lot of things they say. If you squint, you're like, wait a minute, you could interpret that very differently,
Runt is flirting, but he's not going anywhere with it. He's not. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is that you might be surprised that she is.
Okay.
So it's nothing too dreadful yet, but the atmosphere is definitely, shall we say, private.
Gotcha.
At this point.
Gotcha.
Now, the other thing I want to say about that is that all the little minions, she says, by the way, while you're here, they're very protective and not easily reasoned with. All of my helpers here. uh, they almost certainly will perceive you as a threat. Try not to be alone here, or in some way not easily in hailing distance. Let me know where you go.
Can they fly?
And she says, why, I don't think so, but they are quite mobile, particularly in the forests and bushes.
Okay. Okay. I have no intention of throwing them over the edge of space, but if it were to happen to save my own life, I would not regret it.
She said, I would hate to lose any of my helpers. Just try to stay
I understand.
in some contact.
I understand. Good help is hard to find, especially when it's hiding.
Mm-hmm. So yes, that's fine. Let's go ahead and let you guys attend to whatever it is you want to attend to. I'm very interested in how you're going to address your situations.
Well, so as I understand it, we have now allowed you to split the party, and that we are off to the bottom right, and Runt is up to the upper left.
I even got you the absolutely opposite ends of the map, even.
Exactly.
As long as I don't need healing, everything's fine.
That's right. Funny you should mention that.
So I figure we should have our discussion with Iru, trying to understand. Have you approached Uri about the piece of crystal that she has, or has she responded to that in any way? Basically, try and get as much background as we can from him about it, and kind of propose that. Well, I think I've had some insights into the nature of this crystal in your midst. Kind of gesture to his body and say she might be amenable to my wisdom.
Well, he says the best thing to do is to show you my problem. And he says, up here is the only safe place to do this. And he leads you up to the top of the tower. He says to Azalea, I would not ask you to do this lightly. If you desire, you can join us. It is dangerous.
I'm not afraid.
Well then, he says, at the top of the tower, and gesturing about. Now at this area, the sky looks different because you're sort of a little bit out, you're not really attached to the land, and the atmospheric effects are a little bit different, and so you can see like, weird glowy floaty bodies, or spheres out there in the cosmos from the top of the tower. It says, yes, the top of the tower this is my place of power. Up here, I can see far past just what the eye can show. So he says, but here, he says, I can also activate this. And he reaches into some pocket and pulls out what is very clearly a shard, a piece from those growing crystals. Which, oddly enough, Iniku, is more or less what you thought he had said that Uri had.
Exactly.
And so he is holding this, and he says, come, gaze into it, and you will see. And he starts looking into it. So it's not like he's like holding it to you and say, oh, look in here. No, he starts looking into it and says, gaze into it with me. And if you do, you will find that you are transported or perhaps transformed into a crystalline complex that I suppose if this were a game called Dungeons and Dragons, I would have to call it a corridor. But think of it more of a think of it more of a, what's the word I want? A
Dungeon.
well, yes. I was thinking more in terms of a slanting, crystalline, sort of surrealistic lattice work rather than stone corridors hewed into place by long dead dwarves or something.
Gotcha.
So,
Uh,
so yes, you are in a narrow corridor, and you can proceed either one way or the other, so basically forwards or backwards. And he will look up and say, I always get so confused right at this point. Let's go that way. And he points back, like over your shoulders, like behind you, so you have to turn around and go. Um, and it's a little, not quite broad enough for two people to walk comfortably, but he says, "Don't get the wrong idea. I'll go up front with you." So he'll stride along. He doesn't seem like really worried about danger in the moment, but the corridor will take a fairly sharp turn to the right and will open up and then continue to turn to the right, and become a much broader one. And as it does so, an alcove opens up again to your right, and into a faceted, symmetrical, I suppose you would call it a room. But you should think of like the ceiling as being the same angle as the walls, so there's not really a proper ceiling, like a flat thing.
right.
And also that the floor is difficult in that it is more angled, so that you often have to, like, put your balance against opposing angles as opposed to walking across a flat thing.
Yeah, it's more of a
And
pocket in a crystal than a room. Yeah.
exactly. And yet there, planted into the far wall in this alcove, is nothing more nor less than what is clearly a person-made door, like a real door, not some lattice iris or some crystalline iris or anything like that, but a real door with hinges, with panels, with an opening mechanism, and it is very, very solid looking. It is bound with metal. It is flush. I mean, somebody built this well. It fits right into its socket. It's not like, leaning on its hinges or badly socketed or anything like that. It is totally, the hinges, it clearly are working in good working order. It looks as though it would open toward you, so the hinges are on this side. And it is, I would guess, the metal looks like brass, the wood looks like, very solid oak. Clearly, it would weigh, if it were to be taken off, if you're getting the right idea, it would easily weigh in the vicinity of 400 pounds.
Big, heavy door.
You got it.
So, as he did this, I was like, okay, I'm willing to follow you. Did Azalea come along with us?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we're both kind of following along him to this door and say, I don't understand exactly the relationship between your crystal, our presence, and that door. Is this your problem?
He says, absolutely, I must get through.
Well, it is a door. Have you tried to open it?
Oh, ho, 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 he says. Oh, gird yourselves and guard your weapons. Look both forward and back, and be ready, if you dare, that door. I will be here. I'm not afraid. We may not live, but I've survived it once. With you here, I might yet again.
What What is it that you fear will happen if we try and open it?
The door is guarded.
Look around. Don't see any guards. What is the nature of this guard? What can you tell us that we might be prepared?
I don't really have the learning properly to say. I don't really have the skill to describe. It may just have been a what I fought may simply have been a simulacrum of some kind. Perhaps it is different every time. It was a serpentine horror. I had to flee. I admit it. Some of my support staff did not manage to return.
And what do you think is on the other side of this door?
Says, this, I know, this is the key to the powers of the, what did you call them? The living crystals. This is the way and the key to arrive in them mentally through the power of the mind. This is how we become the masters of that power. I have divined this through my study of the crystal that I showed you.
But perhaps
I don't
the
think
wisdom...
I think this one is broken, though. This one's wrong or inadequate. The one my sister has. That's the one.
It is possible the wise choice for both you and your sister is to return these crystals to the mass that formed them.
That may well be, but to do that, she would not agree. To do that, we still would have to acquire it. Or we can seek to get through the door. Perhaps if we combined or returned the crystals as you say, then perhaps the door will open for us. Or perhaps we need to force the door in order to achieve what you speak of. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping you can help me with. But first, to get that crystal from her. It is not safe to linger here. We have not yet disturbed the guardian, but we may if we do stay.
Is there any kind of key or keyhole or lock or something with the door?
How am I going to put this? That would be an Arcana roll. I mean, you're
Okay.
saying you could. How am I going? The best way to put it is that you don't. The literal answer, do I see something like that? The answer is no, but you are not in ordinary space right now. And so the nature of that question is far more functional and metaphysical than it is, did a dwarf build a lock here or some shit like that.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I mean, that would definitely be his plan in any case, would be to take a good long look at this door, figure out as much as he can about its construction, both physically
did I say Arcana?
and...
I was wrong. I meant Dungeoneering, because in this setting, Dungeoneering and Arcana are like Siamese twins anyway.
Good enough. And his examination of the door... 15 plus 7, 22.
Make a little mark in your box.
Oh, that's right. It's another one of them.
And he, and let's see. By the way, divide the box, please. Divide the box. Make a mark on the other side for that roll that you didn't beat a 20 on.
Okay.
Whatever that was a bit ago.
I gotcha.
Okay. So
I think there was. That's
yeah. So everybody should have a running tally of those at the moment.
Okay.
So, for example, your nature roll. In fact, you've got a couple of failed ones, James. That's where you're at right now.
Yeah.
So, even if they were successful rolls in the moment, they were not beating the skill challenge requirements.
Yeah.
So, let's take a look then, Gordon, at what you're going to choose to do. You could, okay, well, first of all, what about the door? It's true. Opening this door would indeed symbolically unlock. The door is, in many ways, the key itself. Opening the door would symbolically unlock the knowledge, power, and logic of this place, and that you would literally be engaged with what with the crystal structure as a whole, the crystal engine structure, birthing chamber, whatever. You would be engaged with it as a whole, and could perhaps direct it or merge with it or command it or stuff like that. So the door, he's not joking about the nature of the door. It does in fact give master. As far as opening it is concerned, well, in many ways, this is the key. Now the problem is using it. If what he says about a missing piece is correct, then perhaps the two pieces together would create a more logical or a more meaningful or a more sensible construction of this whole key.
I see. Do you know if your sister has explored her piece of crystal in the same way you have?
He says, if she has, then she's been very lucky because she could never survive the dangers that I have faced here. At that point, coincidentally enough, the Uri is kind of sussing you out and seeing whether you are up for a little very important talk, very significant talk. She wants to know if she can trust you. She feels that she can.
All right. Runt is pretty upfront about this stuff. I mean, he's not running game on anybody. Yes. You may speak to me, but I must inform you that any favors that you ask of me as a host, it is my right as a guest to ask a commensurate favor at a later time. Such are the customs of my people. But please, go ahead.
Well, she says, the first thing I would like to say is that your friends are in great danger. My brother is irresponsible. He is extravagant, and he is prideful. And therefore, even if he means well, and sometimes I don't think he does, he could easily put them in danger.
Well, I do not mean to belittle your concerns. They do you much credit. But Azalea and Aniku have traveled with extravagance and pride for many weeks and not come to harm. But your brother, Iru, may be a much different situation, and I respect your fear and concern.
Go on. That's why I must ask you to wait here a moment. Take care, as I warned you before, for I cannot protect you while I am doing this. But I will return, and you and I will examine the key to our situation.
Very good.
Yeah, go ahead. What?
Advise your minions that I have no wish to harm them, but I do value my existence and my perspective on life far more than theirs. And they would be wise to keep that in mind. And again, I mean no disrespect to you as their liege or their queen.
Well, she says that's very nice, but effectively, I don't really have a way to tell them that they would listen to. So I think you would just don't make any sudden movements.
Okay. Forgive me, I am not well traveled beyond the Howling Canyons, but are you and they the same manner of being, or are they different creatures entirely?
She says that.
I mean no insult.
Right. It's quite interesting. She says, I actually don't really understand my origins or my brothers. I know that to us, we have always been.
Ah. That is how I perceive my own existence.
Yes, and she says, well, yes, to us as well, there is no other. We have no other.
Ah.
So all I can say is that we do not yearn for the forest as they do, but somehow we come from here. We belong here. This land is ours. So there's something a little odd going on with that, but there you go. All right, so she's going to go off, and she's going to go and get something. You are in the. She suggests that you might be best off in the in this room. You're in the little farmhousey area, you know, like in a little room, in a lower room there. And she says, "This is a good place for you." Now, while you're waiting, I'm going to look at that. Oh my goodness, what an incredible roll these things have.
Okay.
Oh goodness. Right. Okay. So it seems, except for the one that rolled a 1.
Okay. Unless these things are in the room with me, I am looking for things to bar the door and possibly windows.
Got it. You are starting
and
to
keeping
do
an
so.
eye on any chimney.
Yes, good idea. And you do so, and you close the doors and close a window and are kind of looking around and are quite startled as soon as you feel as though you have closed the last portal. You are quite startled, as is equally startled the little being that I have described, little critter, is equally surprised as you turn around and catch it flat-footed, red-handed, creeping up on you. And it is creeping up on you with what appear to be, you had not seen before, the remarkably nasty claws that it seems to have. And it's giving you the look of shocked. I mean, this is the first time you've really seen much expression on their faces. A look of utterly shocked, oh shit, he saw me, on its face.
Gotcha.
This is what happens when your GM rolls a 1 for the creature's signature skill.
So, give me just 1 second, because I want to look up how Intimidate works. I know that you can use it in certain combat situations, but I think the person has to be bloodied first.
I don't think you do.
Really? Okay.
But you get lots of penalties depending on how. Oh no, yes. If you want them to surrender, they have to be blooded.
Yeah.
Or indeed do anything, really.
Okay.
You were right.
Okay.
I'll write down simply what page that was on. No.
It's 186. Okay, so I guess in this instance, well, I don't want to hurt the little guy. Not yet. I'm going to try to tell it a joke in the deep speech, which we haven't figured out, but apparently I have bonus languages, or most people have bonus languages. So I'm going to use my bonus language, whatever language it was that was used in the vortices long ago by my people.
Perfect.
And I'll call that a bluff, or whatever trying to make friends, or we're trying to
Diplomacy.
Okay, diplomacy. All right. Okay.
Ross and Gordon, I'd like to know if you guys are going to linger and mess with the door or not.
I know less of this thing than you do, Aniku, but I think maybe staying here too long could be a bad idea.
Yes, I think I have gathered the information that I can for now.
Oh, you would get so much more information if you stayed and messed with that door?
Yes, but I would also encounter a serpentine beast.
Iru, we can.
Yeah, I mean, Iru seemed actually kind of eager to move off too. Is that not correct?
Oh, it's correct.
Yeah.
Iru, is there any chance we could leave through the crystal that your sister holds, rather than the one we came in through?
As far as I know, we are only able to traverse through mine. I just don't know.
Maybe now's
really,
not the time.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, I can't tell you how frustrating it is to have this withheld from me. She is, she's prideful, is what she is. She's gotten so used to telling everybody what to do when I was gone that she can't seem to understand how things are supposed to work.
Shocking.
Well, between the peril that you said you faced here at this door and the danger that I perceive in the living crystal in your fields, I think we do have to get this resolved. But I think it's best if we have all the pieces together before we try and do that. So, please, let's leave here and arrange to get back together with your sister as soon as we can. I was going to say let's wait on a night's rest, but perhaps waiting is not the path of wisdom here.
Everybody, please.
Mm-hmm.
Roll initiative.
I got a 6, by the way, on my diplomacy roll.
Oh, excellent. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right, then.
If anybody happens to know how non-lethal damage works in this game, I'd appreciate it, but... I get an initiative of 7.
7?
Yes, and I'll keep track of this if you want.
Okay. Yeah. For foe number 1, they got the total of 15. For foe number 2, they end up with an 8, like you.
I got a 7.
Oh,
so
okay.
They did better.
Yeah. So let's see.
Yes. And Aku actually has an 8.
So is Azalea.
Oh my god, really? Those are horrible initiative rolls.
They are.
And you're all bunched up too. That's not the way initiative's supposed to work. It's nice. It's supposed to make a nice little string. All right.
Yeah.
Let's take it from the top then.
I recommend that foe number 2 delays its action to the top of the next round or something.
Well, that would put me first after that, so that would be,
That's fine.
Okay, so the actually no. Foe
number 1 first.
Yes. And so that's easy because you are going to be attacked a number of times. What's your armor class?
Who are you addressing?
Arunt, sorry.
18, I believe.
Okay. I'm having a little trouble with the flat rolling surface myself. There. Ooh, yeah. That's 1. Okay, so um, 3 missiles come from an unseen spot in the room, and all you know about the direction is that it's a direction that you're not looking. And say one whizzes past your head, the other two thump painfully into your body. Your armored spots are being bypassed.
Mm. Okay.
And
That's not how my armor was meant to work. But
let me. All I'm saying is that they hit, and the
no,
fact that
no,
they're
I'm
small
cool.
weapons,
Cool.
it's just color.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
and so that is going to wind us up with a 4 points of damage and 6 points of damage from the other one. You are immobilized, and that's one of the attacks coming in on you. And here's another one.
No save on the immobilized.
No, save
Okay.
ends it. You're immobilized first, and then the save ends it. One of the another missile misses you. Another one. God, they're rolling. I'm rolling horribly tonight. Like rolling in the low thing. And then this one properly hits you for another 4 points. So you have been hit with volleys of the one that you surprised is surprised and is at the moment doing its level best to use its this is going to be kind of amusing. It was standing actually by or on the table, and given that amazing roll, practically right before your eyes, pops itself underneath the table, and you think it's there, but you can't see it.
Okay.
So it basically squeaks and gets itself out of sight. It had one action while it surprised it, and so it was able to use that as its.
Gotcha.
It used a standard action to go stealthy.
Okay.
And so, and considering its insane modifications of stealth and its roll, I mean, seriously, that rolling a 1 was just like hilarious for this creature. So, let's see. So yes, you are under attack. The next person up is going to be the appearance, although not the attack. It is only able to manifest out of the very hinges and not the hinges, but out of the very corners and interstices of the crystal and that holds the door. It's almost as though part of that whole structure uncoils, and yes, a crystalline serpent begins to unfold. It is taller than, given its coils and given the amount that actually can lift off the floor, is taller than you are. And it is a substantial creature. It's not a giant snake. It's not like you're a mouse, but it is no small cookie. And if its crystalline eyes and fangs are any indicator, it is not disposed well toward you. It manifests. That's its action. And Neku and Azalea are basically Wonder Twins as far as initiative is concerned. What do you do?
Is this a surprise round, or can we take a full?
No, you can take full advantage of this.
Niku, it's a shame this thing has a mouth, unlike you. Right.
Well, Aneku is. I don't think that there's no sense in trying to vanquish this thing until we understand things further. We should get out of here. And he actually his plan would be to use his mind lock power to slow it down and have us get out of here. So a attack with his psionic power and a move to move away.
Okay. And so, what attack are you going to use?
I'm using Mind Lock.
That goes against will, correct?
Is intelligence versus will. And my roll is a 2. So I don't think 7's going to get much effectiveness.
No. The psionic. This thing is made of psionics, and it's you can tell that your mind bolt or your assay of your mind against it. It's like, wow, okay, not fighting that thing today. So and then your next move is basically to run, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pull out and move out of the room.
Okay. So you can, and you're going to use a movement power.
I suppose I might as well use my enhanced speed movement power. Sure. Because that's at will. So yeah, I'm moving 8 instead of 6 with
Okay.
steel wind.
Excellent. So zoosh. Azalea.
Okay. How close is this thing to me at the moment?
You would have to move to close with it.
I think since Aniku has decided it's too dangerous for us to fight, I'm going to bow to his wisdom. I just move.
Okay.
I suppose I move twice.
Yes, you do. In which case,
Yes.
you will overtake Aniku quite easily. At this point, Iru is perhaps fortuitously, or at least in a confirmatory way, shouting, "Run!" And so the question,
I just don't see what we have to gain by fighting it now.
okay? So slithering shift. Ooh, right. Okay, so it okay, so that's that, and you guys have done that, and then we've got Runt. What is your action?
Runt is immobilized, which means that he can't leave his square, but that doesn't mean that I can't look around over my shoulder, right?
You can do anything else. You can even
All right.
attack.
All right. So what I'm going to do on my, if it requires a minor action, I'm going to look over my shoulder to where these missiles came from and figure out how far these attackers are.
That would be a missile action, or sorry, a minor action for sure.
Okay. Okay. So
That's
I'm doing that for my
perception check.
Okay. All right.
And I did find the answer for non-lethal.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically just when you get them to 0, you can decide, do you want them unconscious or dead?
Got it.
Okay. I get a total of 9 on my perception check.
There's freaking nothing there.
All right. Well, that's
God, those hurt. What are they? Some kind of wooden dart or something?
All right.
Ooh,
so
I can't move.
on my move action, I'm not allowed to leave the square, but as I read the rules, I'm allowed to drop prone.
That's true.
And this table that this little dude hung out, or may have dropped down beneath, is that adjacent to me?
Yes, it is.
Then on my action, now that I'm prone, I'm going to claw him out from underneath the table and use him as a hostage. Come here, my little butler. And
The
grab
stealth roll that he made and the fact that partial concealment counts as total concealment for him means that the little fucker is not there. And you're like, where'd he go?
Well, that changes my tactics a little bit. I guess in that case,
and make a save now.
Oh, right. But that's at the end of my turn or something, right?
Right.
I
was kind of hoping you wasted your grab, personally, but that's just me.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean that's fair too. I get a unadjusted roll of 7, so I am still immobilized. I think.
Oh, yes, you are. Painful.
Yeah.
All right then. And as far as standing up is concerned, forget it. So I'll give you the drop prone.
No,
I'm not going to
that's
give you a stand
Prone's
up.
good.
So I mean, for future purposes. So let's see. We have the.
If I'm sorry, if I had known that I would not be able to stand, I don't know that I would have done this. But it's okay. Let's play through. Let's
On
play
the
through.
bright side,
I have to think about that.
being dropped prone gives you a bonus to defenses against ranged attacks.
Yes, that's why I did it. But okay.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
So then, what will be? Okay, I'll think about that. What then will be the actions on the part of Iru, who is next? And Iru is basically running quite fast.
What's Iru's initiative?
He has a +3. Oh well, sorry. He actually rolled an 18, so he's at the top.
Okay.
Yeah. His movement before was to shift backwards and grab weaponry, but then he changed his mind and ran. So therefore, I'm going to have. So yes, that's his move. The next one will be the one that hid from you is the only one who can do this because he hasn't used this attack yet. So here they come with their. Oh, holy crap! All right, well, this one's going to do 6 more points to you because it was a critical, which does maximum damage. And then this one, then he has 2 other rolls, which are, right, the +8. Perfect. Ooh, and ooh. This one really didn't like you. He was not happy. He hits with all 3 attacks.
These guys are the missile guys or the guy in melee range?
Well, let me give you numbers first. Take 4 more. You took the 6. Take another 4. Take another 5. And so to explain to you exactly what happened, the little one that went under the table that you were trying to grab, who, as far as you can tell, was completely not there, is actually on top of the table now.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Yes, and flung, like, just by leaning over, flings 3 of these darts, like, chung, 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 straight into you.
Okay.
Not to, your character would know this, but they're all out of darts now.
Okay.
And so that's that one's move. The others are going to have to do something a little bit different, okay? And I know that this is breaking all the rules about stealth, but that's how these things are built. Using their stealthy step, they can go ahead and do their limited moves, and they don't need to go very far. And, oh, shit, I just forgot. Shit. Wow, James, this is really nasty.
That's fine.
You have been hit, I believe, how many times?
Total 1, 2, 3, 4. 5.
Right, and how many hit points do you have left?
17. I've been bloodied.
Aha. Well, this time, the other 2 are going to be striking with their hand attacks, and these are going to be nasty because you could not see them before the turn began. That one misses, for which you are very lucky.
Remember, they get combat advantage because I'm prone.
Yes, I know, but on the other hand, they are rolling incredibly shitty.
Okay.
So they are not actually very bad fighters, but they are rolling insane. I am rolling like under 6s and 7s this whole time, except for when I'm.
Welcome to my world.
I know, and so you are spared basically what will be killing damage. They scamper around you and past you, and up to you, and try to stab you with their claws and claw at you and tear at you. You will see that they look considerably more bestial and even what's the word I want? Kind of plant-like, if that's the right word. It's like they've been growing twigs and stuff since you saw them.
Okay.
And the claws that I was talking about are more like sharpened wood of their fingers. And so those 2 have missed at their attacks, both of them, which is very irritating as far as they are concerned. And they are able to Right. They're each able to make their final stealth check, and now they roll. One of them fails, another one succeeds. And so you can see one of them that tried to stab you. You can't see either of the other two from where you are.
Hey.
They are really good at like hiding behind little things.
Okay.
And just out and like positioning themselves exactly where you're not looking and stuff like that.
Okay.
So good at it.
Okay.
So that's them, and then the next one up is going to be the cobra thing. Takes up its position in front of the door. Since you're all leaving, it does not pursue. Maybe it'll pursue. It's kind of quick. Yeah, it'll pursue. The question is whether you guys got a fair. Azalea actually probably is the one that used 2 moves. Iru used 2 moves. Ineku is the one who has to worry about it because you used 1 move, but it was a fast move. So
Correct.
You're already well ahead of it. The question is what speed it's all about how much speed you're going to get into your move at this time. And then we will check against its speed. So it's going to make 2 moves after you. So I'm going to look at its move, and I'm going to double it for 2 moves. And then the question is, can you beat that speed?
So if it's my action and I've got distance in my thing,
You've got an
power
advantage.
bounce.
You've got an advantage here, but it's not as though I'm not going to do the stop motion thing where it's just sort of like sitting there until it's its action. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you do have to outdistance it. So
yeah,
tell me where you get.
So I would plan to do a double move at this point, and I think the way my power works is I use it for. Well, so I'm either going to be 14 or 16 further away. I'm not sure if I can do with 2 moves, if I can use my power twice or not. I'm not sure how that works.
And at will, yes, you can.
Yeah, and at will. So then I can just do it as 16 away.
Which is a good idea because with 14 away, it would have caught you because it's fast.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but it cannot catch you at 16. You manage to round the corner, and that's good enough. So when you guys get back to the point where you started, you are released from this prism, and you are all standing at the top of the tower, and Iru quickly closes the crystal into a little case and puts it away. The door, he says. We must get through the door.
I'm not so sure that is the wisest choice, but we should not try it without better preparation than we have so far. I think we need to speak with your sister as soon as you can arrange it.
Says, yes. I cannot confront her directly, but perhaps you can. We are not, and he pauses for a second, able to come to strife against one another.
I don't know. You seem to be arguing rather articulately in the in your dining hall.
He says, let me rephrase myself. We may disagree with each other, certainly. I cannot take action against her that would solve my problem permanently. Or rather, I cannot do so personally.
But perhaps we can.
Exactly, he says. A wise and learned person is with us.
So what are we waiting?
Says, well,
can we make arrangements to meet with her, or should we just march across your land here? Have you a way of communicating with her?
let me see if I can kill off your fellow player character before we continue this conversation.
Okay.
James, what shall you do? Because it is your go.
Okay, so there's only one of these guys that I can see, right?
Mm-hmm.
How
And
many
he's in
squares?
range. He's in range because he had to run up to
Okay.
you. He's
Okay.
adjacent to you.
All right. Then in that case, why screw around? Am I able to stand up or not? It's totally okay if I can't.
No, actually, I think you can. I think I mean, what I'm doing
right.
is I'm interpreting this as like the drug that they've hit you with.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I'm going to say, since the rules aren't big about, standing up and going prone and stuff, as long as you stay in your square, I'm going to say that you
Yeah.
can struggle up, in
Okay.
kind of a
So,
poison fighting way. You just can't like go places. You can't go further. You can't get yourself to go further
Okay.
than that.
Gotcha. So on my move action, I'm going to stand up, so I'm no longer at a penalty. Then I am going to use my Blood Strike encounter,
Oh, right.
which is brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And if it hits, it will do 3d12 plus 3 damage, because I am bloodied. But I will probably miss. So we will see.
Other bloodied stuff too, don't you?
Sort of. Not this cool.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that happens when I rage, and there's a lot of stuff that happens when I get down to 0 hit points. But
right.
Oh fuck. All right, so I get a modified attack roll of 8 versus armor class, which burns my encounter power. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my action surge to gain another action, which I am then going to use to activate my second wind, and thereby gain some hit points and not be bloodied anymore.
Okay.
So, all right, and then I make a roll to get over this immobilization thing, right?
Right. Oh.
That's not modified by any ability score, right?
No, it's your raw.
It's
50,
not.
It's a raw 55%. That's what you got.
All right, I'm still immobilized.
All right, I have to say that the saving. I mean, when I first encountered 4E, I was like, no, that can't be right. You have to have different save values that are highly personalized, right?
Right.
No, 50-50. I'm like, wait, what?
Yep.
That's ridiculous. That's easy. So, all right then.
Except when you need it.
Yeah. So, well, some of us here remember, 17 or higher to save versus death as a first level character.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
No, not that much fun, frankly. So, let's take another look then. On their go. Yeah, this is going to be kind of cool. All right, well, the one you can see that you just attempted to blood strike, and the two that you cannot see, they all still get attacks on you. So the one you can see who ran up and tried to stab you and did not make his stealth roll in getting away, or and is
my valet. My future valet.
This one rolls a 1. I am rolling so badly. This one rolls a 1, and I am going to rule is completely discombobulated and is not going to get his stealth roll in getting away. He will make a move action to skip away from you if he can. When you move away from an opponent like that, they get an opportunity attack on you, right?
Yes.
Take your opportunity attack. He really, really wants to get away.
If he shifts, he
does not like being seen. That pisses them off mightily.
He's allowed to shift without provoking an opportunity attack.
This is not a shift. He wants to get away.
Okay. So I hit 24 versus armor class as a basic attack.
Yes.
And I do 8 points of non-lethal damage.
Aha. Okay, 8 points. So you chop into it, and it is not like chopping flesh.
Okay.
In fact, you are familiar with this feeling. It is like chopping wood or vegetation.
All right.
So, the other two. This one barely misses. And oh, God! They are hacking at you. They're clawing at you, And then each one.
I am delicious. Come. Feast of my flesh. I will poison your innards and erupt forth in a gout of blood and dysentery.
Right. They are, yikes. They are clawing at you and missing horribly. And one of them can still, now you can see two of them. They're like trying to hide behind stuff, but failing. But one of them is able to hide. You're totally unable to tell like which is which anymore either. They're all just scampering in all these directions and popping in and out. And so, but I note that you are no longer bloodied, and that although you have spent your action point and your encounter power, you are still a fairly formidable foe at this point. Make your take your action and make your save, whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to do my double pump bull's strength.
Yes.
Which does a close blast 3 against each enemy I can see.
Right. That's two of them though.
Don't be impressed with that because I've been rolling like crap all night.
Let's see what happens.
So let's just see how this goes. That is an 18 versus armor class.
Hit them both.
And I rolled damage twice, or I rolled a hit twice. I can't remember how that.
Twice and damage once.
We just looked that up.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, one of them is damaged by 13 points of non-lethal damage if I can manage it.
Yes.
And
wait.
The other one is
make a 2-hit roll against the other one.
Okay.
Pretty sure that was what. Because I thought it was going to be the other way around.
Yeah, multiple attack rolls, 1 damage roll.
There you go.
Okay.
So
the
21 to the other guy, right?
Yeah. The second attack is a 13 versus armor class.
Yeah, it's not going to hit. Okay. So so yes, you managed to bloody one of them. And which means that it is basically blasted partly apart in a way that would kill a person. But since it's made of like vegetation in some way, that's not the case.
Okay.
And and so then and so then you save.
Oh, that's right. Let me just see if there's any minors that I can do. It doesn't look like it. Okay. 3.
Oh man.
I'm really getting off on this drug, whatever it is. It's potent stuff. Remind me not to go eating any like mushrooms in this forest. I may not ever get out. Okay. Guys, I'm sorry for taking up.
That's okay.
Watching me getting killed in slow motion.
Actually, what's happened is that you've been the door, one of the doors slams, and you're like, didn't I close that door? And you look at it, and it's just slammed. And the shut, and there's one of them turns and starts like picking up the mess, and nobody's attacking you. And,
okay.
You can hear somebody calling from outside saying, Runt, everything's okay in there, right?
Yes. This is a normal Tuesday. This is my life now. But please send more of your butlers to clean up the blood and also the wood chippings.
That's right. Yeah. She looks in and shakes her head and goes, well, I thought it would be safe just for a little while.
It is no matter.
So you can spend a healing surge if you want.
Are we out of combat? Are we taking a...
You're out of combat.
All right. I will do that. Which puts me almost at max. and I will lay it on her, my plan, which is that. Well, I guess I will ask her. I have encountered your little valets in a test of metal. They are quite clever little skirmishers. Do you have any command of them from a tactical perspective?
Says, sadly, no. They protect this place and they protect my person. But they also, well, they have priorities of their own, which are difficult. Perhaps if you were so bold as to venture into the forest, perhaps we could go, with your help, I might be able to go into the forest and we might be able to marshal them to our cause.
I speak
if
because
we did that, then they would all serve me and not my brother at all.
The reason I speak of this is that I am on a quest of blood and vengeance to retake my tribe. And in order to do so, I have wandered the land to gather allies. And I would be happy to aid you in your own trials if you were to lend similar aid to me in my own mission.
When I command the powers of our land, I will be a formidable ally in any such undertaking. And she kind of comes up to you and says, I'm so sorry you're hurt. Let me help.
Do you have any tea? For I feel that my arms and limbs are logy with much exertion.
And she says, really? Having a little trouble standing, are we? And so the sorry, Ross. So all I have to say is that the 4E has just lost its innocence as far as I'm concerned. And so should you care to join to formalize your pacts with Uri in a highly sincere fashion, that she is willing.
Well, I've already spent my second wind.
Oh, well, now you've had your healing surge.
It's true. No. Yeah, I guess. Runt, I'm happy to drop it.
We could leave it as a mystery for the ages if you prefer. I'm okay with that.
No, Runt is that kind of guy. But he wants to make it clear that this is as much a diplomatic thing as anything else from his perspective. That, you know, if this is how they cement their alliances in the land, then so be it. But his quest takes precedence over any matters of taste or any such thing. He doesn't say that part aloud, but
right. There's something you have to understand about the dude. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So she's okay with that. To her, this is, but she's actually quite sincere in this. She likes you and admires you.
Yeah. Well, everyone does.
Yes. Well,
or
then.
should.
Yes, or should.
Right.
And if they don't, what's their problem? Okay,
Yeah.
So I think that we've had enough fun for the day.
Yes.
We have, you guys, we're going to take a little while. The plan to meet with Iru in an advantageous fashion for the perhaps removal of the other crystal can be hatched. That plot can be hatched as you guys see fit. The sally into the sally into the forest for possibly marshaling the little creatures is also underway. So,
if I have sex with Uri, does that mean that I've completed my minor quest to befriend her?
yes.
Is that worth XP?
Yes.
All right. All right.
You have done so.
All right. Take that, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
You
won
are a
both.
successful quester. We are not.
Right. All right. Well, guys, I think that'll do it for now.
Yeah.
Let's do a little coda. Let's just give an image. You're going to stay at the farm. The other two are going to stay at the tower. Many interesting and wondrous phenomena are available in each case.
That's a very flattering thing of you to say, Ron.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the best thing I can say right now is that you can look forward to some resources that would be effectively treasure in a proper D&D setting. So think of any mundane equipment you may need, particularly for forest exploration or for sneaky, thiefly things, if that's what you two are up to. Gordon and Ross, please feel free to take whatever actions you care to. I'm just going by what you had sort of talked about already.
Ron, am I interpreting this correctly, that this is an extended rest?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And, Ineku, when he has a chance to talk to Azalea directly, we'll actually make clear, his plan is we're going to talk to this sister about how dangerous this crystal growth is and that we need to resolve this problem. If she has a scrap of that crystal, we need to look at it and examine it. There's no... Ineku's plan is not to take it from her by force or to trick her into giving it up. It's to confront her with what may well turn out to be arcane realities about why she should do what he wants her to do.
Ineku, have you considered that maybe you're too pure and crystalline for this world?
Perhaps, but I have found that some of my methods can be surprisingly effective.
Perhaps we could take your plan and, with a small tweak where you do that as a distraction, it could work.
Well, we'll see how she responds. If it needs to be a distraction, then I guess that's what we'll have to do.
Well, we have a plan. Can you tell me more about this door? It seems dangerous.
Well, I mean, it is pretty much as he described it. It is the gateway into mastering the crystal formation. I was trying to find where it had a key or a lock, and really it would be more accurate to say that it is the key and the lock. But I have not yet learned enough to make me think it is wise to even try and force our way past it. At the very least, I'd want to know if this other crystal that his sister holds similarly contains a door. And if so, how is it warded?
All right.
You just got to find out.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, that's it for tonight, I think.
Is Yuri a plant woman?
No, she is. I think the best way to describe her is that she is analogous to a flesh and blood woman, but that her substance may well be of the same source as the other critters.
Okay.
She's not like made of like wood and bark and leaves and stuff, but
okay.
So I have my little encounter list going, and you guys have your situation, and now you can think a little bit about what to do and whom to fight and how you want to do things.
Yeah, we got the tallies that you were asking for. I've got that. Yeah. Do you want us to let you know, or
not right now?
Okay, good enough.
Well, good night, everybody.
Okay, good night, folks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the game.